I'm helping my mom clean up the house because I have quite literally all the time in the world. Right now, I'm emptying the dishwasher, and my mom is telling me that I need to hurry up. She proceeds to say, "If you can't do it in the next 5 minutes, I'm pushing you out of the way." 5 minutes cruises by, me intending on watching the preceding matters unfold. She pushes me out of the way, and says that how she is doing it is the proper way. She grabs all the plates and bowls at the same time, glass and porcelain, and tries to put them away. Emphasis on try. She drops every single last piece of china. I then ask her if she wants to show me how to sweep the floor the proper way too. I'm sorry if this is not 100% malicious compliance, this is my first post on here. I have been furloughed and not working since around March 15th. Yes, I have been home and eating way more than usual, but I am speaking more of the significant decline in movement. Normal to busy day during a shift, I was easily doing 12,000 to sometimes 20,000 steps a day. My average this week has been less than 1,000 a day. Totally my fault, and of course I can make a mindful decision to move more, but at just saying I didn't fully appreciate how active serving truly kept me. Plus standing up and having no breaks for 7 to 10 hour shifts. Anyone else? Definitely miss the money I was making, but also the almost effortless health gains. Just a rant. So, about a year ago, I moved into a new apartment, and it was my second year living alone. The city was relatively small, and I go to the local university there. One night I was bored at home, and decided to set up a Tinder date. I was talking to this apparent normal guy, and he asked if he could come over to my place. At the time, I did not see anything wrong with that, so I invited him and said I lived alone. About 20 minutes after the message, he arrives at my apartment, wearing a black hoodie, big earphones, and he asked if there was security cameras in the hallways. I said there was a couple, and from that I could feel that I just made a mistake. He got into my apartment, and we made out for like 10 minutes in my bed. Then, he asked if he could try some of his kinks on me. At that moment I was not thinking rationally anymore, and I said yeah. He started biting my neck, then my chest, then my legs, and then, he started with some really weird kinks. He started pinching me really hard in the between me down there, pulling my skin, and just really digging his nails into my body. At this time I was completely panicking, and was asking him to stop, but he wouldn't. To top things off, he started choking me, and I couldn't get him off me, cause he was like, this big buff dude. At last, he stopped, and I rushed to the bathroom, saying I needed to pee. In no time I grabbed a knife, locked myself in the bathroom and called my other friends to come help me. I got out, and told him to get the flip off my apartment or I would call the police. To my surprise, he tried to attack me, but I had a knife in my hand, and I started screaming. After hearing my doorbell, he quickly got dressed and rushed down the stairs. Please be careful when bringing strange people to your home. This shoot scared me for life, and I don't think I can do Tinder dates again. This is a story used against me, but I can still laugh about it. I'm 26F, currently quarantining at my parents' house. I have a 1-year-old baby and she has loved being with her grandparents and 2 uncles, 12 and 16. When I change the baby's diaper, I'll always ask one of my brothers to take the stinky diaper to the garbage can in our garage so the house doesn't stink up. A few days ago, when I asked the 12-year-old to throw this away, he was a smart aleck and went to the kitchen garbage. I snapped at him and said no. The garbage in the garage. I don't want to smell that the rest of the day. Well, he did throw it away in the garage. But instead of the black can in the corner, he went into my unlocked car and threw it away in the little can I have in there for napkins, fast food wrappers, etc. I didn't drive my car until today, so it had plenty of time to marinate. And while I didn't smell it the rest of that day, I definitely smelled it today. Even after taking it out, I think it'll be a few days before it airs out. Good job, bro. My grandfather was a minister in Georgian SSR back in 80s, and he was given a certain home phone number that to this day is considered very premium. In fact, it's so premium, that for 30 years of owning our flat, my family has gotten several offers to sell it for pretty high prices. The last attempt by a rich neighbor was offered to acquire it for $5,000. While it's easy for people to contact you due to such a premium phone number, the last 2/3 RDS, of the numbers being simply zeros, there have been several calls in our home, as they'd be easily mistaking us for a large company. So we had their number ready just in case SMB would call us again by error. But today, as I was about to talk into a phone after picking it up, I was met with the typical Karen. She demanded to know why her products weren't yet delivered and she was going to sue the company, as if it'd hold up in a post-Soviet country court. I've started talking sorry ma'am, but, and there she went cutting me off. I don't need any excuses, I want my phone delivered today. Ma'am, please listen to, I tried to correct her, but before long she cut me off again. Now, connect me with your manager. You've got the wrong number, ma'am. Goodbye. Finally I was able to say it as she took a deep breath before she'd go for another round of blasting left and right. 2 minutes later, the phone clocked in the same number. I took it again and before she'd be able to say anything, I, with my manly voice, told her, ma'am, for the second time. This phone number isn't registered to any company. The number is in my family's possession for 30 years. And I quickly turned it down, not even bothering to give her the company number. Mine is a hard toss-up between JBR and WM3, but for now I am going with JBR. The case really has no theory that makes any sense and it seems there is a big lack of evidence as well. With WM3 I feel that is some more evidence than JBR and some likely suspects, theories that do make sense. However, it is awful that those 3 little boys still don't have justice. Notable mention would be the Dyatlov Pass. I feel that once they left the tent there isn't much mystery. They would have simply succumbed to the elements, removed clothing from those already dead, and as for the missing the tongue and eyes, that can definitely be put down to animal scavenging. What I really want to know what caused them to flee, leave the tent knowing how dangerous it was. Happened about last week. I was bored and couldn't think of anything to do. I decided to bake brownies to give my mother and grandparents, and also just because I like making stuff. Anyways, I gather my ingredients and tools and mix up a big bowl of them. I put them in a pan and let my masterpiece come to life. After they were done my mother tried one out, but said it was salty. I couldn't figure out why, as I hadn't overcooked it and used all the correct ingredients. However, this is when my grandfather informs me that the sugar I had put in was actually salt, and I had put a good 1/4 cup of salt into the mix thinking it was sugar. Made new brownies the next day and actually used sugar. Everyone was happy. TLDR, put a 1/4 cup of salt into a brownie mix thinking it was sugar and accidentally made salty brownies for everyone to enjoy. Back when I was in college, my freshman year, I shared a dorm with Kevin and a few others. One day, one of our roommates, we never figured out who, started to steal Kevin's food. As clueless as he was, Kevin was an amazing chef. After a while, the great idea came to Kevin to fill his sandwich with laxatives, so the thief would be revealed and punishes. He did just so. He made the most amazing sandwich, filled with all types of meat, veggies, and more. The sandwich would make anyone, that isn't a vegan, drool. There was one problem. He told everyone in the dorm about the plan, so the real thief wouldn't eat it. The next day, we hear groaning from the bathroom. It's Kevin. He said he had eaten the sandwich because he was hungry, forgetting about the laxatives. He ended up not being able to attend any classes for the day, because of the amount of laxatives he had put in. I have a lot more stories about him, let me know if you want to hear more. TL, Dr. Kevin has a food thief, tries to trap him with laxatives, ends up eating the laxatives. Okay, so I've been working in customer service for most of the last 20 years and I just wanted to share with you 3 of the dumbest people, DP, I've met who were just trying to make a payment. The first DP called because he got a letter saying his account was seriously delinquent but he had been making his payments every month. I asked how he was making the payments. It turned out that every month, when he got his bill, he would go to his living room and over to the DVD player/satellite receiver he was renting from us. And he would carefully insert his credit card into the DVD slot and then pull it back out again. He seriously thought he could pay his bill like this. My second DP was actually trying to make a down payment. He was trying to purchase several mobile phones for his family. With his credit, we were asking for $700 down payment and then he could pay the rest in monthly installments. He said that's fine, he would send us the money. I figured this meant he would either mail a check or send it through his bank's bill pay program. Nope. Less than an hour later, we got a fax from him. He had faxed us 7 100 bills. Or at least the image of them, and when he called to confirm, he couldn't understand why we wouldn't take them as payment. And the third DP was a lady I spoke to just before the COVID-19 quarantine, who wanted to pay her bill but was a little suspicious and anxious. You see, she didn't feel comfortable giving me her bank info over the phone. Okay, that's fine. So I suggested other methods. Online? The internet is evil and full of hackers. By mail? People will steal the check right out of her mailbox. Take it to the post office and mail it there? How dare I suggest she leave her home to make a payment? I told her she had to pick one and she hung up on me. I did have another idea, but I didn't think she'd appreciate my suggestion that she attempt to develop telekinesis. So literally just got off the phone to this guy and it was quite the fun conversation. WB equals whiny brat. WB, hi, my phone has stopped charging etc etc. Me, I'm sorry to hear that, we can get that replaced for you as it is in warranty. That will take 3 to 5 days and someone will come and collect the phone and drop off the new one. WB, 3 to 5 days? That's too long, I need this replaced today. Me, I'm sorry but I won't be able to do that today. It doesn't usually take that long, that's just how long I have to advise. WB, no, I can't wait that long, I want to claim on my insurance. Me, the insurance company we use has closed their call centers and are doing email only. Okay, I can give you their email address to contact them. WB, what? No. That's take even longer. Can I just change the handset? I don't even like this phone. Me, it would need to be within 30 days of your upgrade to change the phone. He upgraded just over a month ago. WB, but I only received it a few days ago? Me, okay, I can check that for you, I will need to contact our dispatch team. They usually take about 2 hours to get back to me. WB, but what if it's outside the 30 days? Me, then I will need to do the replacement. WB, give me the email for the insurance, and I'm telling you now I won't be paying any excess. Me, okay, you'll have to take that up with them. WB, I don't understand why it will take so long. My friend told me that by law you have to replace it within 3 hours. Is that no true? Me, no that's not true sorry. WB, I can't be without a phone, I know for a fact that you can send a new phone out today and it can be with me tomorrow. Me, I'm afraid we can't at the moment. Due to the pandemic all of our stock is being dealt with directly with our suppliers and they will want to have received the broken phone back before they will send the new one out. WB, what? There's no way I'm giving them the phone without them giving me the new one. Me, I'm sorry but that's just how they do things, I can't change that. WB, if it is within 30 days then what then? Me, I will need to get the sales agent to call you back and he will discuss changing it. WB, can I speak to him now? Me, he hasn't started working yet and there would be no point speaking to him until I get that information from dispatch. WB, well I will be calling you back bang on the 2 hours. Me, if you can wait for me to call you back I would appreciate that. I don't want him to waste someone else's time if they haven't replied yet. WB, no, you said 2 hours so if I don't hear from you by then, I will be calling back. Me, okay, is there anything else for you? WB, no thanks, I will speak to you in 2 hours. Me, thanks for your time, I will speak to you later. And #X200B. Fun Monday morning. I used to work in a retail store back in the day with a small team, 8 people, and we would all share food items like dressings and sauces brought from home for our lunches. We had a really dramatic and spoiled coworker who brought in tomato sauce and demanded whoever finishes it replace it with the same, most expensive, name brand sauce saying she will honestly, throw up because she physically can't eat cheap products. Lucky me, I was the one who finished it and refused to replace it with a 9 bottle when I can get it for 1.50. So I purchased the cheap bottle, poured the cheap brand sauce into the expensive bottle and closed the lid back up. Guess who smothered that cheap sauce all over her lunch every day and never threw up or had any medical issues from ingesting generic brand food? I did this constantly for the few years I was working there. Everyone knew but her, we all did it. It was just easier to play along than to listen to her whinge about it. TL, doctor, poured cheap tomato sauce into an empty expensive bottle because coworker demanded I buy expensive name brand products for us all to share. Our owners took out the small business loan to keep their doors open and their employees from going into debt. I appreciate them immensely for this. However, takeout and delivery sales aren't keeping us all busy enough to have more than 3 or 4 people working at once. Their solution is to pay us to do renovations and deep cleaning until we can open up as normal again. Jobs like steam cleaning the carpets, repainting the bar, polishing all the tables and chairs, etc. I showed up for my shift the other day and my job was to weed the outdoor garden area so we can plant new rose bushes and shoot. I was sitting in the dirt for about 10 minutes when the irony hit me. When I said I wanted to be in the weeds again, that is not what I meant. Just happened this morning. I've been joining a shoot ton of weird Facebook groups because, well, I'm bored. I joined a group where we all give really bad advice to each other last night. I'm also a part of a group where we are all just really nice to everyone. I wasn't paying attention at all when a girl said, "Hey, I need to lose this quarantine weight. Any advice?" I saw the word advice and went for it. I said, if you rip all of your teeth out, then you will only be able to eat soft foods and therefore will lose weight exponentially. Like 10 minutes go by and I get a notification that someone had tagged the modmins on my comment. I thought, this doesn't go against the group rules. I just read them last night. Then I see which group I'm in. I'm horrified. I'm pretty sure the op blocked me because I can't find the post at all, so now I can't apologize. TL, Dr. Girl was asking for weight loss advice on a FB support group. I got my groups confused and told her to rip her teeth out. Inspired by the post of the mom who lied about cancer to make a self-righteous woman regret her lecture. A little background: my mom died when I was about 15. It's been over 10 years and it is hard, but I limit my thoughts on it to Mother's Day and occasionally holidays, just easier to manage that way. I work in customer service and I am not sure what it is about people, but every Mother's Day I get a few people that will throw out the casual "make sure to call your mom today." Now usually I just ignore this, but one lady, instead of just ignoring my silence and checking out of the hotel like a normal person, decided to be obnoxious. She insisted that I call my mother and wouldn't leave it alone until I verbally confirmed I would call my mother. And then complained that her children hadn't called her yet. I work overnight, so it is only 6:30 in the morning. And she went on for a solid 10 minutes how her children hadn't called her while saying that it was important I call. I was no longer even pretending to be friendly, my face mostly blank with a slight sneer. And she noticed, asking what my problem was, and I pulled out my phone, put it on the dial screen and put it on the desk in front of her and asked her to put the number to the afterlife, and because I would love to be able to call my mother. She actually flinched back and finally left. I hope that she learns not to say shoot like that again. Hello. Thought I'd share this story. It's short and sweet, but it gave me and the woman both a good laugh. So I used to work for a wireless phone company doing customer service over the phones. I have a very young voice and this was the one and only time something like this has happened before. I was about 21 years at the time. Me: thank you for calling, may I have your name please? Lady: I'm sorry, what? Me: can I have your name please? Lady: you called me, sweetie. Who is this? Me: this is cellular provider. I am answering the phone call that just dialed in from you. Did you not mean to call? Lady: laugh, so I'm so sorry. Honey. I thought you were a child calling me. You sound like you're about 13 or 14 years old. Me: oh. Haha, yeah. I guess I do sound pretty young. I then was able to help her out with her issues and got her off the phone. And she was very nice throughout the entire call. I live in a small town. I joke that when I moved here, they didn't have a phone book, it was a phone pamphlet. It wasn't much of an exaggeration. Because it's a small town, there's also a small police force, and I don't want to trouble them with things like the neighbor parking in my grass and running over the sprinkler head. Again. I've asked said neighbor not to park right there, a couple of feet back would be fine, just please stop breaking the sprinklers. They persist. I like to build things, and I love watching and feeding the local wildlife, so I built a bird feeder, filled it up and hung it on a post. As we all know, what goes in must come out, and with the wing traffic that sucker's getting, when the neighbor last moved his car, it was covered with white splotches. He wasn't happy, and hasn't parked there again. This happened in HS to me, 24F. So I had a group of girlfriends, and then when we were seniors, my BF dumped me and I expanded my social group. I was still friends with these girls, they were all great, and even though we are not close anymore there are no hard feelings, but began making more friends through my cheer team, parties, etc. For one of the OG group's girls' birthday, we were planning to get some froyo around 8. It was one of my cheer friends' birthdays and she was having a dinner at 6. So I said perfect, I can go to both. My stepdad would drive me to the dinner and my mom would drive me to the froyo place. Now when OG birthday girl found out I was going to a dinner beforehand, she was so mad at me, I think they were a bit jealous, and changes the froyo place they were going to. They purposely didn't tell me where the new place was, but one of them texted me and basically was like, don't come to the original froyo place. I was obviously devastated and called my mom to cry/tell her she didn't have to drive me. I was at the dinner already. She got in her car with the OG birthday girl's present and drove to 3 local froyo places before finding them. She walked right up to the girl and said, "Oh, Op's stepdad was supposed to drive her here but forgot your present, here you go, happy birthday OG girl," and walked out. She told me what she did and said the girls looked stunned. OG girl ended up thanking me for the gift and apologizing. Thank God for moms. Hello, long-time reader, first time posting to this wonderful community. On mobile blah blah blah, you get the picture. Some background: I am an account manager specializing in suspected and confirmed fraud for a rather large bank. Most of my calls come from frontline agents, either for assistance with procedures or because the customer wanted a manager. Our story today has 3 actors: myself, me the frontline agent, FLA, and the naive customer, NC. Beep. Me: thank you for holding. My name is Staltradon with bank, may I have your name please? FLA gives name: I have a card holder here who is requesting a manager because they are not happy with the fact their card had to be cancelled. Me: okay, just a moment, it's normally here where the managers will take a moment and read over the account notes, activity, etc. just to get a better framework of the situation. This account was reported as identity theft about 3 days prior to this call. I tell FLA to send the caller through. Me: customary greeting, how can I help you today? NC: hi, I am very upset about not being able to use my card and your agent was doing nothing to help me. What's going on? Me: well, it looks like your card was reported as a case of identity theft about 3 days ago, do you recall that? This is where this call gets weird for me. NC: well, yes, that was me, but why doesn't my card work? Me: because you told us the account wasn't yours ma'am, so we cancelled the account and submitted an investigation. NC: oh, I just did that so you guys would stop reporting to my credit. I read somewhere online that it was a credit hack. This account did have a pretty incredible history of being super late, not late enough to close the card but pretty close multiple times. Me: utterly dumbfounded. NC: if this is the case, I need to get you speaking with the investigators on your case so we can cancel it. NC: but I don't want it reported to my credit. Me: but NC, what you are doing is fraud itself, and when investigations reviews account notes and sees this conversation, they will deny your claim and all of your delinquency will be retained on your credit. NC: but that's not fair. I read you guys will just take me at my word and stop reporting the account. This went on and on for approx 20 minutes until I finally took the reins back and said, me: NC, I will be letting investigations know about this and they will be letting the credit bureaus know as well. Thank you and have a good night. Click. People will never cease to amaze me. I have a bunch more tales, but this is the first one that came to mind. Thank you. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. Our regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A coworker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about TJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ, and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. Me and my GF share a house with other 4 people. We are emigrated from Portugal to UK, so we want to save as much we can ASAP, so we rented something cheap. BC we are always working. Now, due to the virus, everyone is home and 2 of the dudes are really nice. But the other 2 get drunk every weekend and smash stuff. Neighbors are complaining about noise, they scream at anyone that walks by the road on our garden. And one of them is extremely racist, so we got lucky the situation never escalated until 2 weeks ago. They were drinking, making noise, provoking everyone on the house for 19 straight hours. So one of them had the brilliant idea of grabbing my GF by her arm violently, so I ended up punching him. Police came but nothing got done. Now this weekend they had a party with 2 outsiders, messed up our garden table, all my pots and plants, that I had grown and bought to keep myself busy during the pandemic, ruined, and as well a 40-pound barbecue, 1 year old. Inside the house they left broken glass, everyone, vomit in the toilet, and didn't clean, so me and my GF ended up doing it. The landlord and the agency just don't care, and say we don't have evidence, even though I have pics from one of them sleeping drunk by everything broken. Now I want a hard revenge against both, but anything that I do can't be related to me or must be no evidence that was me doing it. Can you guys help out? For the sake and revenge of the plants. Pretty please? First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And hashtag X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah, she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance, but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the EMS got there, let alone even go look at her. And hashtag X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. I worked at a local pizza joint in my small hometown back in 2016. About 6 months into the job, I had an older man, around 70 years old, come in. He walked up to the counter and had asked me for a soda. He then sat at a table. A few minutes later, he came back up to the counter and asked what my name was. I told him, as we didn't have name tags. I didn't think anything of it, and he walked back down to his table to sit down. After 10 minutes, he came back up to the counter and said, "What would you say if I were to ask you on a date?" Immediately, I got a bad feeling. I uncomfortably laughed it off, and told him no. He then left. A few hours later, I saw him walking back up to the pizza place. I told my coworker A that I was uncomfortable and I didn't want to serve him. She agreed with me and I hid in the back while she talked to him. After a few minutes, I came in the back and told me what happened. She said he asked for me, and she told him no one named Courtney works here. He then said yes she does. She's 5 feet 3 inches, has purple hair, and she's off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I had never seen this guy before, but somehow he knew my work schedule. I immediately called my dad. He's an officer, and I wanted to see what I could do. There wasn't anything I could do, but avoid him whenever I was working. I had let everyone know the situation and how uncomfortable I was. However, whenever he came in, they forced me to handle him. The next time he came in, he was telling me about his 18-year-old girlfriend in the Philippines. He then went to the restroom and was banging around in there for at least an hour, and then he just left. I would occasionally look out the window to see what was going on outside, and I would see him in his car with a newspaper in front of his face, watching me. Everyone would tell him to leave me alone, and that I was only 18. He didn't care. He would follow me around the grocery store, which was right next to the pizza place. I got used to all of this. Eventually, he put in a job application at the pizza place. I read the resume. In the experience section, there were a few normal things, however, the last few things sent shivers down my spine. He had listed janitorial experience and chainsaw experience. My coworkers and boss thought this was hilarious, so they put it on the wall, And whenever I didn't perform up to their standard, they said they'd call him and give him the job. I left soon after that, so I'm not sure if he continued to try that with the other girls. A few months later I started working at a coonhound rescue. I was talking to a few of my coworkers and brought this guy up. The same exact things happened to them at their previous jobs. So 70-year-old stalker, let's not meet again. This is a story of something that happened to my friend, 24M, a few months ago. I found out because he texted me from an unsaved number, so I asked him why he changed his number, that he's had for over 7 years. Turns out he was seeing a girl for a few months, 22F, and one day he realized they weren't compatible and she was too much to handle. Instead of communicating it to her reasonably / cutting her off, he decided to ghost her as he said she could be quite dramatic. He unfollowed her on all social media and ignored her messages before blocking / deleting her number. In return, she, and her friends, decided every time she was approached / messaged on social media, she was a pretty girl, she would flirt and give them his number almost immediately. In 2 weeks he said he did over 70 separate numbers message / call him, including sending explicit photos and describing what they wanted to do to her. He found out it was her through a mutual friend and said it got so bad he had to change his number. Not the most creative or pettiest of revenges, but definitely made me laugh when he told me, as it was deserved, and he did say he won't be ghosting anyone again. I do have a few voice notes he recorded telling me the story, which made me laugh quite a lot, but not sure if I can upload that on here. FYI, this happened several years ago, but it still haunts me. The people mentioned and their ages at the time are E+J, 14-yo twin sisters, N, E+J's 16-yo sister, D, 15-yo male friend, and myself, 15-yo female. So my friends and I had a weird sense of humor. We joked about having issues that we all knew we didn't, in typical high school fashion. For example, J was morbidly obese, E was a sociopath, D had a drug issue, etc. But the way we went about was as if it was an actual fact. We'd have legitimate conversations in serious tones. It was like it was the actual truth, until we'd all crack up. Now we weren't trying to be insensitive or anything, and we would never speak like that outside of our group. I understand the seriousness of some of the topics, but it was just the way we joked with each other back then. One day at school I come in late to a conversation. They're all talking casually about how N is pregnant and, given that N was only 16 at the time, I immediately thought it was one of those jokes. The subject changed not long after and that was about it. Fast forward a couple weeks and we're all meeting up for lunch. D and I are the first to arrive. A bit of idle chit-chat, and then he asks if I'd heard that N's baby was going to be a girl. I thought, oh, this one again. I nodded solemnly. Yeah, I said, did you hear their tests came back? It's got Down syndrome. I am absolutely horrified that I said this. I know it was a terrible joke, I thought I was just playing along stupidly like usual. Only D looked shocked. And he went quiet. That confused me. At that exact moment, E+J entered the room. And so does their sister. With a big, pregnant belly. I have never been so mortified in my life. Immediately I apologized to D and tell him I had no idea she was actually pregnant and that I would never have said that. I even approached E+J and said I had no idea she was legitimately pregnant and felt really embarrassed and guilty. I felt like the worst friend for not knowing, even though I was never explicitly told. D found out from Facebook, which I didn't have at the time. I just had no idea. P.S. She now has a beautiful healthy daughter and is expecting a second. TL, doctor, I thought my friends were joking about their 16-yo sister being pregnant, and I made a really inappropriate joke. So that idiot has been bullying me ever since I was a kid, telling me that I'm so ugly and that I should kill myself because I have no life. It makes feel bad every time. Because of that I have very low self-esteem. One time she chased me with a knife and I got trauma from it. She always thinks she is better than me. She treats me like I'm some garbage. This made me grow hatred towards her. I don't see her as my sister anymore. I just try to ignore her, but she still tries to get on my nerves. Every time she is around she will murmur insults about me, kicking the chair beside me. Just last month she pulled my hair and punched me in my arm. I had bruise from it. I despise her so much. Sometimes I just want to stab her with a knife and kill her, but I don't want to go in prison. Help me get back at her? Any ideas you can suggest? Sorry for my English, I don't try anymore, not my native language. Update from local news. And #X200B. Article from February 2020, Riverside, Ohio, KEF/WRGT. It has been 1 year since Riverside police named a missing woman's husband as their murder suspect, but he still walks free. Cheryl Coker went missing in 2018. Her husband, William Bill Coker, is still police's only named suspect. A lot of people will say, "Gee, I'm surprised that you haven't said more. I keep it all in. I get upset at home," said Mary Carroll, Cheryl's mother. "I do keep it in. The time will come when he will hear it from me." Cheryl went missing on October 2, 2018. Bill was named police's suspect on February 19, 2019. Police have not found Cheryl's body or made any arrests since. "We want closure. I just don't think we're going to get it without Cheryl," said Margie Keenan, Cheryl's sister. Bill has not returned our requests for comment. Police said Cheryl had filed for a divorce just weeks before she went missing and they had already started dating other people. "With Cheryl and Bill's relationship, we would have never expected anything of this sort, but we know Cheryl would never just go missing," said Keenan. Police said surveillance videos and a 911 call from the Kroger parking lot led them to their suspect. They said at the time they named him that he refused to take a lie detector test. Riverside detectives denied interview requests this week. "We last spoke with Chief Frank Robinson in October. He said the department was still investigating. I feel that they've done their best. They have truly done their best, and I think now it just lies in the prosecutor's office," said Keenan. The Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office said police have met with its attorneys once but were told they needed to do more investigating before its office could make a decision on any charges. A press release indicated that the department was continuing to work on the case. As early as this week, search warrants had been executed, though no additional comments were available. Carroll said one of Cheryl and Bill's daughters still lives with Bill but that she has not spoken directly to him in a year. "I'm sure she won't be home, but we keep hoping for that. We still hope no matter what. You just can't give up hope," said Carroll. The family still asks anyone with information to call Riverside Police at 937-233-1801. I work for a convenience store. After work a few weeks ago, I stopped at Target for some Easter basket stuff for my kids. I'm on the phone with my husband with earbuds in, wearing a green polo shirt, a name tag, and my hat that clearly says the name of my workplace. I had a guy walk up to me with a baseball mitt and ask me if this is all we have. I looked around confused and said, "I don't know, I don't work here." Then a few minutes later, I'm in the video game section and had a woman come up to me and say, "You work here, right?" I said nope. My husband was still on the phone with me and was cracking up. "I don't understand how that happened twice in one trip. Not a very exciting story, just blew my mind how oblivious people can be." Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his 2 sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick, he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. "But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones, lol." Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his 2 sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick, he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. "But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones, lol." This was a few years ago, but I still get worried about going out alone at night. I am on mobile, so sorry if editing is a bit off. I had been at a bar with a group of friends, and this bar was known for having lock-ins for regulars. That night, we were allowed to stay well past closing and I didn't leave until about 2 a.m. I was a little tipsy and about 30 minutes walk away from home, plus none of my friends lived in the same direction as me, so I had to walk back alone. I should have called a taxi, but I was a dumb 18-year-old. I'm walking along having a cigarette, on a quiet residential street, when I see a man on the other side of the road. I don't think much of it until he starts staring at me and crosses over to where I am. He approaches me and asks to use my lighter. Cool, no worries, I relax a little. He lights a cigarette and I walk off, but he speeds up to walk with me. I start feeling a little creeped out and get the feeling something isn't right. Suddenly he asks me if I do coke and pulls a bag of white powder out of his pocket. I say no and speed up again. "Where you going so quick, little girl?" he shouts, and now I'm really freaked out. I ignore him and keep walking. He speeds up again. "Try it, you'll like it," he says. I say no again and that I've really got to get home, but he has other ideas. He grabs my arm and pulls me close to him. He tells me that he's going to give me the night of my life, and I struggle to get away from him, screaming and crying for help. I manage to knee him in the balls and he lets go of me. I don't think I've ever ran that fast before in my life. As I'm running, I pull my phone out and call my dad, who literally leaves the house in his pajamas and runs to meet me. He walks me home and lectures me on how stupid I had been. I never saw that creepy man again and did report it to the police, but nothing ever came of it. Creepy coke man, let's not ever meet again. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, so I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby, so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. Hi, I'm a long-time lurker but first-time poster. So basically my story is from when I was 16 years old and is 100% true. I'm home in our 3-bedroom apartment with my little brother, 14, and mother. We are supposed to go over to a family friend's house around 9 p.m. that night for a sleepover. We live in a big complex, so it's not unusual to get salesmen and church recruiters etc. at our door. It's about 8 p.m. and we are in the living room when he knocked on the door. He was about 6'3" to 6'4" and was a clean-looking young college-aged man. I opened the door and he said he was spreading the news of God. My family is religious and already has a church, so we politely told him we weren't looking for a new church. He says okay and leaves, so we start getting ready to leave for the sleepover. At 8:50ish he knocks again and we are sorta creeped out by it, but we don't open the door for him. He leaves after a minute and we grab our things to go. We go downstairs and start getting in the car. My mom and brother get in and I'm losing the trunk with bags when I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and he's standing over me. I'm 5'10", with a creepy smile. I'm a hot-headed, testosterone-filled 16-year-old, so I raise my voice and tell him to leave us alone before we call the cops. He is still standing there not doing anything but his creepy smile and holding his foldable ad for the church. I pull out my phone and he gets the message and speed walks away. We get in the car and drive about 20 minutes to my friend's house on the hillside. They have their own long driveway and stairway leading to their front door. We park the car and get out to greet my friends and their parents at the front door. We start talking quickly about what happened and not even 2 minutes later a car pulls up and out comes the same guy. Thankfully my friend's dad has a concealed carry permit and he flashes his gun at the man, yelling that he is on private property and has to leave. He started walking up to the door and everyone runs inside except for me and my friend's dad. He pulls out his gun and aims it at the dude while I'm calling 911. He threatens to fire, so the creep goes back into his car and slowly drives away. I gave the 911 operator his license plate number and they got the guy not even a mile away from the house. The next day we got a call from his sister or wife or some female related to him saying that he is mentally ill and begging us not to press trespassing and harassment charges on him. We agreed as long as they got him treatment, and all I can say to the creep today is, let's not meet. Thanks for reading about my experience. Smile. A father and son team, Dennis and Kemperada, spent years trying to find gold that was allegedly lost during the Civil War. Their evidence was so compelling that the FBI showed up to dig. They made Dennis and Kemp sit in their car out of sight while they dug. When they were a couple feet away from whatever it is that set off the Parada's metal detecting instruments, they said they were quitting for the night, even though there were hours of daylight left. That night neighbors heard excavation equipment and jackhammers until the early morning hours. The FBI showed Dennis and Kemp an empty hole the following day, having completed the dig without them. The FBI agents claimed they found nothing, though many witnesses saw them unloading something from ATVs into a convoy of 8 black SUVs that left the scene. Now there are thousands of pages of documents related to the dig which are under federal seal, and the Paradas are suing to gain access to them. A Pennsylvania attorney says there is absolutely no legal basis for the documents to be sealed. What is going on? Why wouldn't the FBI allow the Paradas to view the dig? Why are documents related to the dig sealed? What possible explanation is there for the events that transpired in Dents Run, Pennsylvania? Edit: the excavation occurred in Dents Run, not Diggs Dent. Buried gold in Pennsylvania at center of court fight over FBI and treasure hunters. October 24, 2019. Search for Civil War gold pits, treasure hunters against FBI in Pennsylvania. October 9, 2018. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine, go duck yourself then, which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of U11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly I didn't do much and my partner is a long-time referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs Park District in my area has been informed and is taking action. Best Single Case Podcasts? Looking for some suggestions for podcasts that revolve around a single case. I tried searching one case podcast focusing on one case, yet nothing was able to be found. I have listened to the Adnan Syed case, Teacher's Pet, Criminology Season 1 and 2, Bear Brook, this case, wow. Left me speechless, and just finished Your Own Backyard, Kristen Smart case. Link for the Bear Brook case if you haven't heard of it. Filler 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 filler. Okay, this was like last week or so and I only just thought of posting it now. This is a short story BTW. I was eating my Easter egg and my mom took like a massive chunk of it. Then she went into the kitchen to put the kettle on. Me, Mom, do you want me to make your tea? Mom, nah, it's okay. Me, no, really it's fine, I've got nothing to do anyway. So I made my mom tea, let her have a sip and then poured it down the drain in front of her, smiling. The best part is, that to use the last tea bag so she couldn't even make another one. Running dangerously low on essentials and having been forced to take vacation time at my work-from-home job, I decided to go to the grocery store this morning. After loading up at TJ's, I started my 1-mile walk home. The pedestrian light to cross the street was counting down, so I started to walk quickly to catch it. I'm watching the light and didn't notice that they had just installed a row of very short bike racks, about 1.5 feet high, thin, silver arches, at the corner. Before I know it, I have tripped over one, and when I go to right myself, I hit a second one. It felt like everything was happening in slow-mo, and for a second, I thought I was going to be okay. Then the weight of the groceries propels me forward into the last arch, which causes me to face plant into the sidewalk. I am bleeding and can feel something isn't right in my mouth. I put my hand up and half of one of my front teeth is gone. A construction guy runs over to see if I'm okay and all I can say is I lost my tooth. He runs away scared of the hysterical bleeding person without another word. Eventually I pull myself together, used my face mask to stop the bleeding, and called an Uber home. Long story short, after an emergency visit to the dentist who wasn't hesitant to throw around fun words like root canal, and I'm not going to lie to you, this isn't good, I now have a funky tooth cap and 2 stitches in my lip. The PA who stitched me up joked that I look like I have lips people pay for, so win? Until the medical bills arrive. I may be a klutz who lost a tooth, but at least I saved the groceries. The eggs weren't even cracked. TL doctor, ran to catch a light, tripped, face planted, and lost a tooth, but saved the groceries. So don't be like me and look where you walk. Dental work is expensive and painful. Hey guys, I've been thinking about putting my notice in for so long at my current job, and I'm feeling conflicted because obviously, it's gonna be kind of hard to find another job during a time like this. But I've been so stressed out by this job to the point where I have trouble falling asleep. I work at a payday loan call center in the customer service department. We used to have about 25 people in our department, but about 3 rounds of layoffs later, we have 5. The amount of work can be very overwhelming. Our customers are rude, impatient, etc. We have no backup if someone calls out or quits. It's a mess. I currently live at home with my family, I don't pay rent, I have no debt, and I don't need to pay really any bills except for necessities like gas and a couple of monthly subscriptions, and I have a pretty decent amount of money in my savings account. I have 2, somewhat promising, options for a new job, although they aren't guaranteed, but I do have close ties with people at both of these jobs, so it may work out well. I know it's usually not a great idea to quit a job if you don't have something else lined up, but I am just so tired of feeling so stressed out and anxious. I'm getting migraines, chest pain, I can't sleep well, etc. and I do love to work because it gives me something to do, but I just don't think I can deal with this much longer. Any advice is very appreciated. Thank you guys for taking the time to read this, and I hope you're all doing well. This just happened. For some time now I have been fighting with Texas Workforce Commission for overpayment of benefits. From what the correspondent said was that one of my previous employers discharged me for misconduct, when I know I was fired for telling my supervisor at the time I take medicine for mania, major depression and major anxiety. How this relates to my dad was because he was asking how my unemployment status was looking. I had told them that I owe them $1,200 and had no way to pay for it. Words were exchanged about how I was let go from this previous job, and he starts to question why I told my super about the medicine, and I explained that it was for transparency and understanding. All in good faith. This continues on, and I explained to him after 2 years of taking the medication as to why I need them was because I hear voices in my head and they tell me to do things against my will. Like hurt myself or say things to people. All while I'm explaining this, blabbering like a crybaby, he is in disbelief. I didn't have to see his face to know how horrified he was. Afterwards he told me to maybe just get out of the house from time to time and said that I will get over it. So now as I write this I am struck with a shootload of paranoia that I may be admitted or I self-harm again. TLDR, told my dad I might be schizophrenic on accident and now dread the impending results. Update 1. Since I have been seeking mental health therapy for 2 years now, the only things this suggested was a medication change-up or hospitalization. TLDR, thousands of shop-level employees got laid off based on a computer algorithm the corporate office designed that doesn't factor in seniority and gives preference to certain employees. Store managers and corporate office employees were not affected at all by these layoffs. Please feel free to ask me any questions, I have lots of free time now. And #X200B. I work at a Take 5 oil change, same thing as Jiffy Lube, for 5 years and was terminated yesterday along with 1,000 other lube techs. All the stores only have 1 to 3 people working there now. Nobody at the corporate level got let go, all the store managers are still working, and the rest was left up to a computer algorithm. I took pictures of our company's organizational charts in ADP before they locked me out, showing that corporate employees were not affected at all. The regional manager, who is in charge of over 60 stores, actually said that corporate's computers picked which assistant managers and lube techs would stay and which ones would be terminated, with preference given to some assistant managers. I have no say in the matter. Apparently experience wasn't a factor in this algorithm, Lube techs who had worked there for more than 20 years got laid off, while some techs who just started last year are still being employed. In the letter they sent out to everyone, they stated that all employees terminated will be considered for rehire subject to work history. They aren't even guaranteeing their jobs back, they're basically telling us we need to fill out an application again and hope for a callback. Does this seem pretty messed up, or is it just me? How can a company lay off people so easily without care? It sounds like they are using the current events as an opportunity to clean house and start fresh with new people once things settle down. I can't imagine a company anywhere that lets a computer tell them who can stay and who can leave during a layoff. I think what bothers me the most is that I know very well the expendable shop-level employees are only getting laid off so the company can afford to pay the management and corporate employees. They still have 10 employees on payroll making $70-80K a year for unit growth and development. This company is not doing any growing or expanding right now. Couldn't they let some of those people go? Thank you for taking the time to read. I just really wanted to vent my frustrations. If what they are doing isn't illegal, then it is certainly the shadiest thing I have ever come across. When I was 17, I used to deliver for a well-known pizza place in the area. Of course, Fridays were always insane, and this Friday was supposedly going to be the biggest. Halfway through the night I got a delivered to a home for a specialty pie with 5 toppings. The bill came out to $35. Pizza was deep dish when given toppings, so the price was always jacked up, and was hopping for another good tip to bring my night to about $50. As I'm walking up to the door I can hear them trying to shush their dog. Usually whenever this were to happen it was common courtesy for the customer to come outside to avoid any issues with their dog. Well, they open the door and their 100-pound husky comes bolting out, jumps, bites my arm and then attacks the pizza. Luckily I was okay and very disoriented from the whole situation and wasn't sure what to do since the pizza was all over their front steps. They freaked out and continuously apologized. They informed me that they would call the store and order a new pie and pay for both and tip me extra. However, they sent me on my way without ever paying me. My 17-year-old mind was still messed up from getting attacked by their dog. Getting back to the store I find out they never called and we couldn't find their phone number to contact them. Got bit by their dog and ended up not making anything after it all.